Director for the, thank you, Alfredo. Good catch. I am the Assistant Director for the first year residential experience here at NYU. So I oversee all of the communities that house our first year students. I will also be the moderator for this evening's webinar. So just a bit more about me. I've been at NYU for about 7 years now. Prior to NYU, I worked in res life at the University of Georgia. And before that, I graduated with my master's degree from the University of West Florida in Pensacola, Florida. So now I will hand it over to Alfredo to introduce himself.
Thank you, Christina. Hi, everyone. My name is Alfredo Oliveira. My pronouns are he, him, his. And I'm a residence hall director in Rubin Hall, which is one of our first year residence halls here at NYU. I have been here since December 2019, just before the pandemic hit us, and I've been here since, and I'm really, I've really enjoyed my experience, and we're excited to have you here in the fall. I have received my master's from St. Cloud State in Minnesota. I've worked in Florida, and now I'm here. I supervise the building leadership team, which we call BLT, 3 full-time professionals, and I oversee all the community development in the building for Rubin.
Awesome, thank you, Fredo. So just a quick rundown. We will go through information today. We have some slides to show you. You should see a Q&A or a question box on your screen. Please feel free to use that throughout the presentation. We do have a lot of information that we intend to cover. So we will answer questions at 2 different points during the presentation. So we ask you to continue to drop your questions in, but just hold tight to give us a chance to get to the question and answer portion of the presentation. We know you all have a lot of great questions, but the reality is we only have a limited time together. So if we're unable to answer your question, please utilize the contact information on the NYU Housing website to reach out to folks, and we'd be happy to cover any questions that we weren't able to get to today. So Alfredo and I plan to walk you through what you should expect while living on campus this semester. We will also share information specific to your move-in process and quarantine expectations for those that will be required to quarantine prior to the start of the fall semester. As a reminder, students who are expected to quarantine will arrive on campus August 18th and 19th, and students who do not need to quarantine will arrive beginning August 27th or later. We will leave time, as I shared, towards the end of the presentation for questions. And like I shared before, we'll also be sharing our contact information. So bear with us. We have a lot of information to share with you this afternoon.
Thank you, Christina. On behalf of Residential Life and Housing Services, we would like to welcome you to your future home away from home. Welcome to NYU, your new community. You are about to join thousands of undergraduate and graduate students who call NYU Housing their home. We recognize the challenging times that we have all experienced, but look forward to welcome each of you into a safe and positive living environment. Maintaining your safety and the health of everyone is in the NYU community best interest, and in the coming academic year is a mutual responsibility. We must all work together to keep each other safe. Living in housing offers you amazing opportunities that will make your college experience one you will never forget and may never want to leave. Our buildings provide more than a place to sleep. They give you a community of your peers and a network of staff to help you during your university life.
So next, we're going to talk a bit about the residential experience at NYU. So while each of our residence halls have their own culture and personality, they all offer opportunities to participate in programs and activities designed to help you connect with your peers and have meaningful conversations. Each hall has a passionate faculty, professional staff, and student leader team equipped with knowledge and skills to help you make the most of your time in the residence halls. Our building teams are looking forward to making connections with you and supporting you while you transition to your new home here at NYU.
So you may be wondering what your room looks like. Amenity provided for each resident are a twin extra long bed, desk, desk chair, dresser, and designated closet space. Rooms also have trash and recycling bins. The university is pleased to share floor plans for each residence halls as well. Please note, these plans are not drawn to scale and any perceived amenities or room configurations are always subject to change. The floor plans are intended to provide a general understanding of location and basic layout within the building. We have received some questions about sizes, like can we measure the rooms? Unfortunately, we don't have the rooms measures available, but the picture can help. In addition to these photos and floor plans, you can also check our virtual tour and 360 room views on our departmental website.
Check your housing portal for your room assignment and roommate information if you haven't already. Information about your roommates and or your suite mates can be found on the application and payment status page of your application in the NYU housing portal located in NYU Home under NYU Life on the housing forms card. First, you should visit our website, nyu.edu. Click Login to NYU Home at the top right corner of the screen, then search for Housing Forms and click on Housing Forms. You will then click Access Application, followed by clicking on Reapplication and Room Selection, which is a tab that's at the top of the page. Once you click Continue on the center of the screen and scroll down, you should see the following screen that's displayed here, including the name and email addresses of your roommates and or suite mates. These steps will also be outlined for you in an email that you will receive from your residence hall shortly. We ask you to reach out and work with your roommate or your suite mate prior to arriving on campus to establish mutual agreements regarding health, including considerations related to COVID, general safety, and general lifestyle behaviors. This will also help you and those you share a living space with establish rules for the road for your suite. Discussing your expectations and needs prior to your arrival will help you create a safe and comfortable space for you and your roommates.
So there are a number of partners involved in making sure that your residential experience goes smoothly. Each residence hall hosts a building leadership team consisting of the residence hall director, residence hall assistant director, and residence hall resource manager. The residence hall director directs all aspects of the program and services for the assigned residence hall. The residence hall assistant director manages the residence hall's day-to-day community initiatives and programs in an effort to create residential living and learning communities. They also supervise the resident assistants known as RAs and advise the hall council. The residence hall resource manager oversees operations at the resource center, handles room assignment, and works with facilities to address building needs. You can find the building leadership team's contact information on your hall's NYU webpage. Another team of professionals in the hall that supports students is the Instant Response Team, or IRT. This is a group of professional staff trained to manage critical student incidents and emergency situations that students may face after hours. The IRT works directly with the building staff, the Department of Campus Safety, and Counseling and Wellness Services to connect students to resources and provide support in challenging situations. Our faculty fellows in residence in the hall also work closely with residence hall staff to set an educational tone in the residence hall and to design and implement a wide range of opportunities for students to interact with faculty members and with one another. In addition to professional staff and faculty, we are lucky to have a superb teams of paraprofessionals called resident assistants, or RAs. The RAs are full-time upper-class students who have gone through a competitive selection process and intensive training. Each RA serves as a resource and a guide on their community. They have many responsibilities, but mainly focus on helping you connect and build an engaging community. Within our residence halls, not only do we have highly qualified professional staff and student leaders available to address concerns and ensure a safe environment, but we partner with the Department of Campus Safety to provide 24/7 security. You can contact the Campus Safety Desk in your hall's lobby for specific safety concerns you may have. NYU Campus Safety Officers are a great resource and available 24/7. Lastly, each residence hall hosts a dedicated team of facilities and housekeeping staff. This team is committed to keeping our entire building safe and maintained. While our housekeeping team cleans our common spaces, it is the responsibility of each resident to clean their rooms and suites.
All right, thank you, Freda. So now we are going to talk a bit about our COVID safety and prevention efforts on campus. So we each play a role in maintaining a healthy and positive living environment in the residence halls. Here are several steps that you should take to do your part as a member of the community. Wear a face covering that covers your mouth and your nose when you are outside of your suite or apartment and in public areas of the residence hall. When you are able, please maintain a safe distance from others. We also ask that you wash your hands regularly, as it is one of the most effective ways to reduce the risk of spreading diseases. We also encourage you to use hand sanitizers when you are unable to wash your hands.
As an additional safety measure, only residential students will have access to the residence halls. You can have guests that live in another residence hall, but at this time, NYU students who do not live in the residence hall and non-NYU folks will not be permitted to enter NYU residence halls. Please remember that if you're not feeling well, contact the NYU Student Health Center through the online Student Health Center portal or call them at 212-443-1000 to schedule a virtual appointment with a healthcare provider. Students should familiarize themselves with the University Student Conduct Policy and the Residential Life Handbook. Updates regarding policies and expectations specific to COVID-19 will be based on the latest guidance regarding COVID-19 and will be published within the University Student Conduct Policy and the Residential Life Handbook. So make sure you familiarize yourself with this information, even if you're returning as a student to NYU. The Residential Life Handbook is available to view within the University Student Conduct Policy and on the Residential Life website.
We plan to continue our commitment to public health guidelines and enforce all health and safety rules, which have kept NYU's community safe. We expect that you observe the rules conscientiously for your own health, the health of the faculty, other employees, and fellow students, and the progress made in New York to reduce the spread of COVID-19. We will have little tolerance for repeated or serious lapses, and violating the health and safety rules can result in sanctions that include, but are not limited to, restriction of privileges and access, and removal from university housing or the university. Together, we can keep each other safe. Safety cannot simply be imposed. Each of us has a hand in it and a responsibility to one another.
On this screen, you will find the recommended mailing address format. You should not include the residence hall name or NYU in the address label. Remember to address any packages sent to you with your legal name or preferred name with the university. Please note, if you're living in Othmer Hall or Clark, you will need to put Brooklyn, New York in your address. If you're in Manhattan Hall, you will need to put New York, New York. Anytime our residence center receives a package in your name, we log it for our records. You will receive an email notice from our resource center when your package has been logged. We will only accept packages from federal mailing services. The Resource Center does not accept food deliveries such as grocery orders or restaurant delivery. At least in the beginning of the year, the Resource Center in your building will be open for package pickup during stated hours each day. Please do not attempt to pick up your package outside these times. Some students have already asked about mailing packages to their residence halls before arriving. Unfortunately, we cannot accept deliveries or packages for you until after you move in. We simply don't have enough room in our mail rooms for the packages to accumulate before move-in.
So as you prepare your belongings for move-in, we encourage you to pack light. Consider what items you will need to begin the semester and bring only those items with you. Consider waiting until you arrive to purchase excess items as you settle into your new room and assess what you actually need to live comfortably. Later in the presentation, we will discuss the 2-hour move-in window that you will have to complete your move-in process. Leave behind any item that is considered a policy violation. This includes any outside furniture and anything that is considered a fire safety hazard. We also prohibit pets. If you have a medically related need for any of the prohibited items, including service or emotional support animals, please reach out to the NYU Moses Center for Student Accessibility to go through their approved accommodation process. It's also important to understand that NYU follows city, state, and federal law. No one under the age of 21 may bring alcohol or consume alcohol in the residence hall at any time. We also have strict guidelines in terms of smoking. Smoking is not allowed inside the hall or directly in front of the doors of our buildings. If you choose to smoke, you must smoke outside at a considerable distance from the residence hall's perimeter. This includes the use of e-cigarette devices such as Juuls or other vapes. There is no marijuana use or storage allowed in the halls, even if you have a medical prescription. The same is true for any other non-prescribed drugs. You can find an exhaustive list of what to bring and what to leave at home by visiting the website listed on this slide.
As there is a lot of excitement surrounding move-in, let's talk about a few things to consider before the big day actually arrives. By now, new students should have submitted your photo online for your NYU ID. All students should have determined whether or not you need to quarantine based on whether you have spent more than 24 hours in a CDC designated level 4 country and are not fully vaccinated, including those with approved exemptions.
Please note that all new NYU students must comply with the New York State and NYU immunization requirements. In addition, all students are required to upload proof of COVID-19 vaccination or receive an exemption, which is granted only for valid, qualifying medical reasons or strongly held religious beliefs. The deadline for submitting your health forms has passed, but if you are unable to get your information in on time, please contact the Student Health Center as soon as possible. For more information, you can visit the Student Health Center's website. You should have already selected your move-in slot based on whether or not you have quarantine needs. You will not be permitted to check into your residence hall outside of your assigned move-in appointment slot. Begin to pack and keep the bare necessities that we've shared with you in mind. Think about who will accompany you to assist with moving your belongings. One helper may accompany you at a time. For everyone's safety, that person must either be vaccinated or have tested negative for COVID-19 within the previous 72 hours of your arrival for move-in. Other things to think about, we highly encourage you to bring minimal decorations for your space. With that being said, if you choose to decorate, we ask you to pack blue painter's tape to hang items on your walls. Nails, screws, tacks, and other strong adhesive tapes cause significant damage to our buildings, so we ask that you refrain from using them.
New students who have never had an NYU ID card issued to them in any capacity, including for a high school program, summer school program, or summer resident program, should have uploaded a photo to the photoid.nyu.edu website. If you successfully uploaded your photo and it has been approved, an email will be sent to your NYU email address confirming the submission. You will pick up your new NYU card at your designated residence hall during check-in. Students must bring a valid form of identification. For example, a state driver's license, state photo ID, or passport to their residence hall in order to be issued an NYU card.
Sorry, some technical difficulties. There we go. So move-in day tips. So when you arrive at your residence hall, you will be greeted by an NYU staff member at the entrance who will confirm that you have arrived during your assigned move-in time. You and your guest are required to wear face coverings when you are inside of the residence hall and on campus. Your guest will be issued a move-in wristband and should wear this at all times while inside of the residence hall. Please note that students and guests are expected to wear their face coverings while they're queuing in lines outside of the residence halls as well. This includes when you are waiting for carts that we provide you or when you're waiting in elevator lines.
All students arriving for move-in will be asked to submit and display NYU's daily COVID-19 screener for campus access at check-in. If you have not already, download the NYU mobile app, the first app on top left corner of the image, the middle image. Once you open the app, you will see the icon displayed on this slide that says Daily Screener. And then you click that icon and answer a series of questions the day of your arrival. Please do not submit this prior to your moving date. So show the display screen result when you arrive to check in at the hall, and you'll be issued your room keys and other information.
So when you enter any NYU building, you will be greeted by a campus safety officer who monitors the entrances 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. These officers check every person entering our buildings to ensure that they are NYU students. As a residential student, you will use your NYU ID to gain access to the halls by tapping through an electronic gate.
Your assigned move-in day is the only day that you will be permitted to have one helper enter the residence hall. Remember, that person must be either vaccinated or have been tested within the previous 72 hours of move-in. Don't be surprised when in early evening of the move-in day, an officer asks for your ID and will not permit guests other than residential students to access the building. We do this to ensure the safety of every student in the building.
If you have trouble navigating your residence hall, we do recommend that you reach out to a member of the professional staff, a campus safety officer, or your NYU using the or your RA using the contact information posted on your floor. We'll be happy to point you in the right direction at the resource center, or if you speak with the RA on your floor.
Please note that we do not have designated parking on campus. For those in need of parking, we'd like to share that Spot Hero is offering a 15% parking discount up to $20 for use on your assigned NYU residence hall moving date. Use the offer code NYU2025 to reserve a spot in advance. Lastly, we encourage you and your guests to bring a bottle of water. There are water bottle filling stations in each hall.
All right, now a few more specifics about the move-in process. First and foremost, please review the confirmation email that you received when you signed up for your move-in appointment. Only arrive at your hall during your 2-hour check-in window. Every student, this includes new students and returning students, must sign up for a move-in time. You are only permitted to bring one person with you at a time inside of the building. If you drive your belongings into the city, you will need to move your vehicle to a local parking garage immediately following unloading your belongings. You cannot park in front of your residence hall. You will need to check into your residence hall to obtain your room key, your NYU ID if you're a new student, and to check out a provided move-in cart. Please remember, the resident or the student should be the person who presents their photo ID at check-in to pick up their room keys. Please pay attention to your residence hall's emails and signage that will be posted for details.
For those individuals who will not be arriving in a vehicle of their own, you should head directly to check-in and sign for your key. The rest of the process is the same for everyone.
Once you have your key, you can either begin by taking your belongings up the stairs or waiting in line for the elevator. You will want to verify that you are in the correct elevator line, as some residence halls have multiple elevators that take you to specific parts of the building or only to certain floors.
While we will have moving carts available to help you transport your belongings, we also encourage you to bring your own dollies or carts if that is an option for you. Patience is the key to moving day, as there are several steps to the process and it will likely be hot or even rainy.
To help you through the entire day, please use the contact information posted around your hall if you have unanswered questions and need to receive support. Throughout the move-in process, remember to practice physical distancing and closely follow all posted signage and guidance in order to support the health of our community.
So there are a variety of apps we recommend you to download before your arrival at NYU to make your experience as smooth as possible. To participate in NYU Welcome, download the NYU Guide app listed on the screen right now to see a full list of events and schedules so then you can maximize your experience. NYU Mobile is a comprehensive app that allows you quick access to things like Albert, dining, a campus map, virtual campus events, and more. It will also link you to another essential app, Safe NYU, which sends you important safety notices and instant access to campus safety resources. Finally, the Wellness Exchange app that allows students to chat 24/7 with a licensed mental health professional in 6 different languages. NYU is full of resources to support you during your time with us, and they're a fantastic way to access them quickly and easily. And of course, the next slide is follow us on social media if you want to stay informed with NYU housing updates. We have an Instagram page, a Facebook page, and a Twitter that we post the most up-to-date information for students and parents.
All right, so we're going to pause here to take some general or start answering some general move-in questions that you all have been dropping in the Q&A chat. The second portion of the presentation will relate specifically to students that are required who are required to quarantine prior to the start of the fall semester. So I will stop sharing my screen for a moment, and Alfredo and I will do a quick Q&A.
I want to preface really quick to everybody. We have over almost 1,000 people here. We got more than hundreds of questions already, so we won't be able to get to all of them again, but we're going to do our best to answer the common ones.
So Fredo, maybe you can answer this one. We received a question about who cleans the bathrooms in student suites and apartments. Who's responsible for that?
The student is responsible for that. Our housing keeping facilities only manages the common lounges, the hallways, and the lobby. So students have to clean their own spaces.
Thank you, Fredo. We have received a few questions about our guest policy. So just to clarify, on your students' move-in day, that is the only day that non-NYU people will be permitted to enter the building. And as we shared, one person will be able to enter the building at a time with a student. So if 2 parents come, you 2 can absolutely switch off. We only allow 1 person at a time. But after your students' move-in day, non-NYU folks and students who do not live in the residence halls will not be permitted to enter residence halls moving forward.
Really quick answer, because I noticed I've got a couple about micro fridges. We have a 5 cubic limit. So make sure that if we do not provide micro fridges in most halls, I believe, Christina, that's correct?
That's correct. So most do not. Check your residence hall's webpage. If they provide it, it will be listed there. If not, there are a lot of local companies that you can rent mini fridges from. We just ask that you check our prohibited items list to be sure you don't rent or purchase a fridge that is outside of our furniture guidelines. Fredo, we have a question about garbage. How is trash handled in the residence hall?
Our buildings have trash rooms or trash chutes that students can manage their trash. So they'll be responsible for tossing, like bagging their trash and tossing it. And then we also have recycling rooms where we New York recycles, so we will have that too. So
Great.
Students are responsible to throwing their garbage away.
So we received a question about meal plans. When will a student's meal plan begin? So Friday, August 27th, once again, the first move-in day for most students. Dining halls will open, I believe, at 4 p.m. that day. Dining intends to send out schedules to all students who have a meal plan in place, which pretty much is all of our first year students, to let them know the hours and which residents, or excuse me, which meal plans, which dining halls will be open for students to use their meal plans, but it will begin August 27th.
Also, in regards to laundry, I see questions about laundry. It's a new app called Hercules. Hercules, you need to download the app. It's like this blue app right there. I don't know if you can see, it's a little blurry, right there. So that is your laundry app. That's how you pay for laundry. You'll just load some money. Usually, I think it's $1 for wash, $1 for drying. So it's a $2 cycle. In the residence halls, we have laundry rooms. Also, we do provide toilet paper. Students can get toilet paper from the resource center. You don't have to purchase your own toilet paper unless you want a different brand.
Thank you, Fredo. So we've received a few questions about check-in times. So we recognize that some folks, especially if you are flying in, that your flight may arrive outside of the designated move-in times that we have available, or life happens when you're traveling to New York. We just ask that you give your building staff a heads up so they can make sure that we're prepared for your arrival. I know someone asked about an 11 p.m. flight, so you will not be turned away. We just ask for some notice so that we can make sure we have staff available. Folks are asking questions about room changes and new room assignments. So in your NYU housing portal, there is a link for room changes. You can submit a request for a room change. Our housing services staff will notify you regarding whether they are able to accommodate your request. If they're not, they will let you know. And once you arrive and settle in on campus, you can submit a new request if you like, because our housing inventory may have changed since you submitted your initial request. But we ask you to work with your building staff. But if we're not able to accommodate your room change before you arrive, we ask you to move into your assigned space. Sorry, scanning for questions that we haven't already answered. Fredo, we have a quick quarantine move-in question. So Fredo, if a student needs to quarantine, will they be able to quarantine in their own room?
That's the goal, to have students in their own room. If there is any, we don't see, right now we don't foresee any issues, but if there is an issue, they would be in a temporary space in their building. But the goal is to have the student in their room. That's why I ask students to move in 2 weeks early, so then they're out of quarantine when their new roommate comes into that space.
Perfect. Fredo, I'll throw another question at you. So we've gotten questions about toilet paper, trash bags. So maybe can you give a brief overview of the supplies that we provide for free for students at the Resource Center?
So we do provide trash bags at the Resource Center and toilet paper. We do not provide cleaning supplies. So we do ask students to bring their own cleaning supplies, Clorox wipes, disinfectant to clean their spaces. And I know there's a question also about vacuum. Because of COVID, you're not able to just keep taking the vacuum, checking them out from the Resource Center from some halls. So we do encourage you to bring some cleaning materials for now. Did I forget any other toilet paper and trash bags is provided. So.
Yes, and this year we will also be providing some cleaning supplies. We're still ironing out the details of what those cleaning supplies will be, just to make the cleaning process a bit easier for students. And we'll take, I've seen several questions about bed risers. So bed risers are permitted. We just asked that they are actually bed risers, just out of a concern for safety, right? So please do not stack beds on top of books or other items that may be unstable, but we do allow bed risers. If your student is in a room where there are bunk beds, if you would like them to be unbunked, we ask that you submit a work request, and our facility staff can come by and assess the room to determine whether we are able to unbunk the beds. If we aren't unable to unbunk the beds, it's strictly for safety purposes. We have to make sure there's enough room in the space for students to be able to evacuate in the case of an emergency, but we have to evaluate that on a case-by-case basis. So we just ask that you submit a work request if you are in that circumstance. So for the sake of time, we are going to jump into the second half of the presentation and then pick up with some more questions once we speak a bit about quarantine for students that are required to quarantine on campus. All right, so as you are aware, the university is requiring that all students be vaccinated against COVID-19 in order to have access to NYU buildings. The vaccine must be authorized in the United States by the FDA or on the WHO list of approved vaccines. The university recognizes that some students may not have access to approved vaccines, and we want to ensure that all students are able to engage with the NYU community this academic year. We want to keep the NYU community healthy and safe, and to the fullest extent possible, enable our community to engage in person and more fully in various aspects of university life than they have since the onset of the pandemic.
So as a result, students who arrive at NYU and have spent more than 24 hours in a CDC designated level 4 country in the previous 10 days and are not fully vaccinated, including those with approved exemptions, are expected to quarantine prior to the start of the fall semester. Here is what you can expect if you choose to quarantine on campus with us. And I know really quick, Christine, I know before I move to the next slide, for all those of you asking about specific countries on the chat, you will need to check the CDC website to make sure your country is not listed there, because that changes weekly or daily. So,
thank you, Freda. So go back for a second. There we go. So you should have signed up for a move-in arrival appointment that's either August 18th or August 19th, as we shared. When you arrive, you will receive a COVID-19 saliva test kit and go directly to your assigned room to begin your quarantine. Expect to quarantine for approximately 7 days. During that 7-day period, you will submit a saliva sample in your test kit between days 3 and 5. The day you collect your sample, bring your test kit downstairs to your residence hall's resource center during their open hours, which will be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Please collect your sample in your room prior to coming downstairs, and make sure that you wash your hands and seal the kit before bringing it to submit at the RC. You will be notified of your test results through email. Once you have received your results, and once you have completed your quarantine and have a negative test, you will be released from quarantine.
While you're in quarantine, we expect that you remain in your suite or apartment for the duration of your quarantine period. You will only leave your suite or apartment to go to any necessary medical appointments, including COVID-19 testing or a vaccination appointment. You will be provided with a $60 meal credit each day of your quarantine through the Grubhub app. Look out for an email with more detailed instructions from NYU Dining once you arrive on campus. Meals that you order within the designated meal times will be delivered to your suite or apartment door by the university staff. Please do not leave your room. Packages that you receive will also be delivered to your suite or apartment by the university staff at the times of the day.
Plan ahead and prepare for this quarantine period. You cannot do laundry or go shopping, and you cannot visit friends in your residence hall or other residence halls. This includes other students who may also be quarantining within your residence hall.
And in order to keep everyone safe, there will be actually no tolerance for repeated or serious lapses, and violating the health and safety rules can result in sanctions that include, but are not limited to, restriction of privileges and access, and removal from university housing or the university.
So we recognize that this may sound daunting, but all students that have decided to live on campus this last academic year experienced quarantine, and so have many of us here at NYU. Based on experience and student feedback, we have refined the quarantine process to make it as manageable as possible for you. We also want to share a few tips and suggestions that could help you make the most of this time.
So this is a great opportunity to get to know NYU better and engage with your future classmates through social media and other campus resources. Get creative. Think about writing a paper, a book, an essay that you always wanted to take on. Maybe a music lyric you wanted to learn, or music you wanted to take on, a piece of art that you wanted to create. Delve into Robin Wall's Kimmerer's work, Braiding Sweetgrass Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, our selection for this year's NYU Reads. Also consider reviewing your course list and get a jump on your readings for class. Looking for a job this semester? Get a jump on things by visiting the Wasserman Center's career services platform called Handshake to check out employment opportunities. Looking to meet folks with similar interests? The Center for Student Life has over 300 student clubs for you to join. If you want to catch up on your favorite TV show and movies, NYU offers free access to HBO Max and cable stations in the residence halls through the Philo EDU app. The possibilities are endless. However you choose to spend your time, know that you are not alone. Sometimes we all need help, and if quarantine is one of those moments, don't hesitate to ask for it. The Wellness Exchange, the Student Health Center, and the Residence Hall staff, we are all here to support you when you need it. Don't hesitate to contact Counseling and Wellness Services at 212-443-9999, and the phone is on the screen. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to talk to a professional. The period will cover soon. The period will be over sooner than you think. At the end, you have made a real contribution to public health and hopefully a difference in your own life. If only that you have made it through. If only that you will have made it through, and now you have a remarkable story to tell.
So we hope this presentation helps clarify what you can expect from MoveIn, the quarantine period, and the start of this fall semester. We look forward to welcoming you to campus and into the NYU community. Please remember, we each play a role in maintaining a healthy and positive living environment in the residence halls. It's all of our responsibility to keep each other safe. So this marks the end of our official presentation, and we can use the remainder of our time to jump back into some questions. So again, I will pause sharing my screen, and I saw a question about mailing addresses, so I'll go back to that slide. If Fredo, if you could briefly cover again how folks should address packages that they will have delivered to the residence hall.
Cool. So the main tips for you all is, if you live in Brooklyn, you need to put Brooklyn, New York. And if you live in Manhattan, in one of our residence halls here, you need to put New York, New York. Make sure that you do not put NYU or NYU Reuben or NYU Goddard. Just put your name, the street address, your apartment number, and then this, like the city. If you need details, if you go to your hall's webpage, you can also see your hall's address there. But yeah. those are the things. So it's right there. Take a screenshot. You can.
Okay.
But again, please do not start sending things right now because they're going to be returned to sender. You can only start sending things here, Amazon orders, Target orders, whatever, after you move in. If you send it before, you will not get it. It will going to be returned to sender.
Thanks, Fredo. Someone asked a question that we need to correct. So the NYU app that folks need to download, it is actually called NYU Mobile. NYU MoBILE is the app that your student needs to download to get access to that daily screener that we shared for campus access. And someone asked a great question, whether students need to do the daily screener if they are vaccinated. So after move-in day, the daily screener is required for all NYU community members to gain access to any NYU administrative or academic building. So move-in day is the only day students will be required to show it to gain access to their residence hall, but they will need to use it in order to go to class and to enter different administrative buildings on campus. Fredo, what can folks do if they need to submit a work request? Like they get to their room and something's broken.
Yes, great question. So we have a link. I actually going to put it on the chat. It's called a work request. It's called nyu.edu/FCM/work request form. I'm going to put the link on the chat for everybody. So you have it. So yeah, if you find anything, I don't know if there's a question answered that, but if you find anything, it's on the chat box, not on the Q&A box. But if anything is broken throughout the year, from the moment you move in all the way to the end, you just submit a work order. Our facilities will address that as soon as they can, including bed raises. So like some rooms have bunk beds for triples or rooms who need more space. Some residence halls allow for bunking their beds. Some don't because the materials are not for bunking the beds. But if you need even to do that, you do need to submit a work order. We do not want you or your parents or friends and family trying to bunk a bed, because we've had issues in the past where they didn't bunk correctly and then the bed was not solid. So please don't do that. Any request for work orders needs to be submitted online.
So Fredo, you're on a roll, so I'm going to throw you another question. Someone is asking about actual beds. So if you share a room and there are 2 beds in that room, do we assign students to a specific bed?
We unfortunately don't. So it's when you come, you're going to choose your side of the room, and then with your roommate, you can discuss, even if you know who your roommate is, Christina showed how to get to that information if it's available. You can communicate with them, like, is there a side of the room you want? But it's kind of first come, first serve.
So I've seen several questions that are specific to certain residence halls. So I suggest that you reach out to the staff at your specific residence halls with those more detailed questions that they'd be able to answer for you. To someone, yes, that is the link to the work request form. You can also just, like you shared, Google NYU work request. So, oh, someone doesn't understand the daily screener. Okay, so we showed photos of the daily screener, which while I am talking, I can go back to that screen so folks can see the screenshots themselves. So what I was explaining is that we require all NYU community members to submit this daily screener anytime they need to enter an NYU administrative building or an academic building. So in the NYU mobile app, they will go through the process to answer questions and end up on a screen like what you see all the way to the right, the green circle that says pass. They show that screen on their phone to the campus safety officer and then tap their NYU ID and will be permitted to enter the building. So the difference that we were making is that you don't have to go through this process at the residence hall outside of move-in day. But if that's still not clear, if you want to reach out to us one-on-one, we can talk you through that in more detail. But just students should expect to submit that daily screener to enter campus buildings.
Quick answers real quick. Yes, bathrooms do have a curtain, so that bathrooms come with a curtain. Parents, you can download the NYU mobile and sign up as a guest, but I don't think there is like a specific, like a lot of things you can do with the mobile app, because it's more for students, staff, and employees. And I got a question, I forgot really quick. That's fine, but I think those are the, and the app, I put it there. Yeah, just it. Sorry, Christina, go ahead.
No worries. Fredo, we're getting more questions about where folks can pick up their NYU IDs.
Yeah, so if you submitted your photo at photoid.nyu.edu and has been approved, it will be ready for you when you move into the residence hall. So when you show us your passport or some form of identification, we'll give it to you. Now, if that hasn't been approved, then the day of moving, you have to work with the card office to go get them, your ID.
Perfect. We received a question about what folks are permitted to mail to the residence hall. So as long as it is not a policy violation, so if your student is, well, honestly, we cannot accept alcohol deliveries. We will return those to sender. We ask that students not have groceries delivered. If they need to have groceries delivered, they need to have contact with the delivery person and actually come downstairs and meet them. We don't have refrigerators or things to store those types of items, so we're not able to accept them at the resource center. But we accept packages from all major mail carriers, such as USPS, UPS, FedEx, Amazon, those types of delivery services. We are able to accept those items, once again, as long as they don't include groceries, because we can't be responsible for items that may spoil.
Moving day answer here really quick. We are moving from 2-day moving to 3-day move-in. So there allows for more people and more space. So we do ask you to come during your window. So I think somebody asked, can we just come early and line up outside? If you already have your sign up hour, you should be okay in those 2 hours. The moment you move in, we do want students to, and family members, to complete that process within 2 hours so we can keep the group moving. And after the 2 hours is over, unfortunately, just the student will have access to the hall, and then outside guests will not have access anymore.
Great job, Fredo. I'm scanning more questions in the last few minutes that we have together. So more questions about parking. We do not provide parking. You are not permitted to park in front of your residence halls on move-in day. If you have never been to New York, street parking is very limited, and in order to avoid possibly receiving a ticket, we ask that you unload your vehicle and immediately move it to a parking garage, or if you're able to drive around the area and possibly find some street parking yourself. Google Spot Hero, it's a company that we have worked with to provide a discount. And this webinar, it is being recorded. It will be posted on the same website that you use to register for the webinar today. And you'll be able to see the slides that include the discount information. And we will also email that to students in the coming weeks. Sorry, still scanning. Fredo, do you see any pressing questions that we haven't answered yet?
Micro fridges and microwaves are, you can just use Google NYU or just rental NYU micro fridge rental. We don't endorse anybody, so you can see whoever would deliver to New York, and you can do that there. Can you debunk a specific question about specific buildings? Please reach out to your building leadership team. Again, the email is going to be on the buildings page on the website. So most of the buildings are usually like the first name.hall, so ruben.hall@nyu.edu, goddard.hall, but check because some buildings do have a little like modified name. But go to that page, read about that.
Quick answers that I can answer really quickly. Parents do not need to fill out the daily screener. They will not have access. It's only accessible to members of the NYU community. It's enough for your student to fill it out. We will provide carts on move-in day. Just anticipate possibly needing to wait on a line to receive a move-in cart because we do have a certain number available. And there is a resource center in each residence hall. Your residence hall will have a resource center located somewhere in their lobby. To leave on a high note, there will be tons of activities for your students once they arrive for move-in day. Please visit the NYU Welcome website. There will be hundreds of events for students to participate in once they arrive on campus. And the Friday and Saturday night of move-in, we will be hosting socials in the residence halls as well. So once again, check out our websites for additional information. We will post this webinar by the end of the week. You're also free to contact Alfredo, contact me. We encourage you to contact your residence hall staff directly as well for more information. But we thank you for your time today, and we will stop the